Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Alex, and you are on the Classic Cars Roast channel. I've been getting a lot of requests for this one, so let's get into the weeds on the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado. This beast, the very first front-wheel drive Cadillac, was supposed to be the epitome of luxury and innovation. But let's be real here. What you're getting is a mixed bag of brutal charm and some serious flaws that make this car a roller coaster ride of disappointment. The market for big iron is heating up, but that doesn't mean you should jump on every rust bucket with a shiny hood ornament. Auction prices for these things are outrageous. Some restored examples are pulling in between $30,000 to $50,000. That's a lot of cash for something that might have seen better days. And when you consider that a pristine model can go for upwards of $140,000, you really have to question what collectors are thinking. The Eldorado is a classic, sure, but let's not forget that it's also a prime example of the Malaise era's downward spiral. Now, first impressions? The styling is undeniably striking. You've got that long hood and short deck design that screams classic American luxury. The massive chrome bumpers, sure, they catch the eye. But look closer, and you'll see the hidden headlights behind that grille with horizontal bars, an attempt at sophistication that, honestly, feels more like a gimmick. And as for the interior, you've got wood grain appliques and chrome detailing that seem to shout, "Look at me!" But when you sit down, you quickly realize it's not all that comfortable. The bench seats, they feel more like a couch at your grandma's house than a high-end ride. On the technical side, the engine is where the real problems begin. This thing is packing a 429 cubic inch V8, but with a pathetic 190 horsepower. That's just sad. By 1970, we were already seeing the last great year for high-compression engines. And this is what Cadillac brings to the table? For me, that's an immediate disqualifying element. And don't even get me started on the transmission. Sure, it has the Turbo Hydromatic 400, which is the best automatic transmission ever built, but good luck finding one in decent shape. The front-wheel drive setup was groundbreaking, yet it led to complex maintenance challenges that make ownership a genuine headache. So, what's the takeaway here? If you're thinking about diving into the Eldorado market, be prepared for a wild ride. Are you willing to pay top dollar for a car that might have serious mechanical issues lurking beneath its glamorous exterior? It's a gamble, folks, and I'd tread carefully if I were you. All right, buckle up. The 1967 Cadillac Eldorado is a classic example of how the automotive world took a nosedive during what we now call the Malaise era. What was once a pinnacle of American luxury quickly became a sad shadow of its former self. The creation of this car was a curious mix of innovation and compromise, and trust me, it shows. The Eldorado was Cadillac's first foray into front-wheel drive, which should have been a groundbreaking achievement, but instead it just brought a whole new level of complexity that made maintenance a nightmare. The engineers were clearly trying to push boundaries, but they forgot that sometimes simpler is better. Now, let's talk about that engine. This beauty came equipped with a 429 cubic inch V8. You'd expect a roaring beast under that long hood, right? Wrong. With a compression ratio of a pitiful 7.6 to 1, this engine only churned out a pathetic 190 horsepower. For a luxury coupe, that's laughable. How did they go from the high-compression, muscle-bound monsters of the early 60s to this? It's like watching a heavyweight boxer turn into a featherweight overnight. What's even worse is that while the engine was marketed as a powerhouse, the performance figures tell a different story. 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 8.5 seconds? You might as well be driving a shopping cart. And then there's the transmission. Oh boy, the Turbo Hydromatic 400. The best automatic transmission ever built, period. It's the shining star in this otherwise cloudy day. But pairing it with a front-wheel drive system? That's like putting a sports car engine in a family sedan. It just doesn't work. Cadillac was trying to be innovative, but what they needed was a reality check. The exterior? Sure, it had that classic Cadillac flair with its massive chrome bumpers and hidden headlights, but does that really excuse what's going on under the skin? You've got to wonder why they prioritize style over substance. And don't even get me started on the interior. It's all chrome and wood grain, but with poor build quality that would make your head spin. Rust spots are common in the trunk and around the wheel wells. It's like they slapped it together and hoped for the best. So, when you look at the big picture, the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado is emblematic of a larger decline. It's a car that tried to be everything but ended up being nothing special. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The car might have a certain brutal charm, but it's hard to overlook how far it strayed from the glory days of American muscle and luxury. What do you think? Is it worth the hype, or just another tragic tale of what once was? All right, folks, buckle up because we're about to dissect the exterior of the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado. And let me tell you, the beauty of this car is as bold as its ambition. First off, just look at that colossal chrome bumper. It's not just a bumper, it's a statement. This thing is massive, integrated seamlessly into the design with subtle fender fin extensions that scream Americana. You know what I mean? It's the kind of chrome that dares you to park it next to any modern plastic car and just laugh. Now, let's talk about those hidden headlights. Yes, you heard that right. They're tucked away behind a grille with horizontal bars, which is a bit of a visual trickery. It's like the car is saying, I'm sleek, I'm sophisticated, but I've got a surprise for you. This was a design choice that really set the Eldorado apart from its contemporaries. It's a notchback roofline that gives it that elongated look, making it appear both luxurious and sporty. But here's the kicker. The proportions are just right, with that long hood and short deck balance that makes you feel like the car is ready to leap off the line. And let's not forget those factory colors. Cadillac offered a palette that was as rich as the car's heritage. San Mateo red, Granada gold, Nantucket blue metallic, Artemis green fire mist, and Bristol blue fire mist. These colors ooze character, each one telling a story of its own. I mean, who wouldn't want a car that glistens in the sun like a piece of jewelry? But here's the reality check. The paint quality from this era can be as dodgy as the car's electrical system. If you find a repainted body, you might as well walk away. That's an immediate no for me. Originality is key, and it's only original once, remember that. Now, when you step back and take in the whole exterior, there's an undeniable charm that draws you in like a moth to a flame. But before you get all starry-eyed, you have to account for the common rust spots. Trunk areas, lower fenders, and around the wheel wells are notorious for rusting out. It's almost like a rite of passage for these beauties. The Cadillac Eldorado might have its flaws, but it's undeniable that this car is a symbol of an era that craved extravagance. With its bold lines and unapologetic presence, it's a classic that demands respect. So, what do you think? Is this the kind of car that would make your heart race, or are you already thinking of the next shiny object? Now we're diving into the belly of the beast, the interior of the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado. Hold on to your hats because this is where the charm starts to fray at the edges and reality sets in. Step inside, and you're greeted by a dashboard that's trying its hardest to be classy with its horizontal speedometer and wood grain appliques. But let's be real. It's like a bad attempt at sophistication. The chrome detailing is overdone, and it's almost like they were trying to blind you with shiny things to distract from the fact that this is still a car from the malaise era. What about the smell? Ah, that classic car aroma. Leather mixed with a hint of mildew from years of neglect. You can almost taste the nostalgia, but let's not pretend that this is an appealing scent. It can be charming, sure, but if you've got a nose for quality, you might find yourself holding your breath or dousing it in air freshener. And comfort? Well, the bench seats are plush enough, but they also feel like a couch that's been sat on too many times. The optional reclining passenger seat is a nice touch, but it's not saving this interior from mediocrity. If you're over 6 feet tall, good luck finding a comfortable position without your knees hitting the dash. Now, let's talk about options. You've got the standard 3-spoke steering wheel, which is a classic design but lacks any real pizzazz. Tilt and telescopic adjustments. Sure, they're there, but they feel like a half-hearted attempt to make up for the overall blandness. The integrated console in the dashboard is a nice idea, but it's minimalistic to a fault. Everything feels cramped and almost thrown together. But here's the kicker, the first front-wheel drive vehicle from Cadillac. While that's a groundbreaking feature, it also means the interior layout feels a bit off, and you're dealing with complex maintenance challenges. The lack of a spineless hump opens up space, but honestly, it feels more like a gimmick than a genuine advantage. Rust is a common issue in these cars, especially around the trunk and lower fenders, which can make or break your buying decision. Electrical issues, they're lurking in the shadows, waiting to ambush you with intermittent lighting failures and dashboard quirks. So what do you think? Is this interior a selling point or a deal breaker? For me, the overwhelming sense of mediocrity is a huge red flag. If you're looking for a luxurious experience, you might want to keep searching. It's tough to overlook those glaring flaws when you're sitting in a car that's supposed to scream opulence but ends up whispering, "I've seen better days." So, let's talk about the engine of the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado, the heart of this so-called luxury beast. Now, if you're expecting muscle, you're about to be seriously disappointed. The Eldorado boasts a 429 cubic inch displacement V8, but don't let that big number fool you. This engine is about as exciting as watching paint dry. The gross horsepower is listed at 340, but that's pre-1970 numbers. After those new net ratings came into play, the actual usable power dropped like a rock. What you really end up with is a pathetic 190 horsepower on the net scale. Yes, you heard that right. 190 horsepower in a car that's supposed to ooze opulence. Talk about a kick in the teeth for enthusiasts looking for that classic American muscle. And torque? Well, at 480 pound-feet, you might think it sounds impressive, but when you realize how heavy this thing is, that torque doesn't translate into a thrilling driving experience. You're looking at a car that takes approximately 8.5 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour. For a luxury car in the 60s, that's just laughable. I've seen grocery getters with better acceleration. This is a real shame because when Cadillac introduced front-wheel drive with this model, it was a groundbreaking move in the industry, but they paired it with a powertrain that simply doesn't deliver. The Turbo Hydromatic 400, THM 400, is an automatic transmission that truly deserves its reputation as the best ever built. But even the legendary THM 400 can't save this engine from its own shortcomings. The front-wheel drive setup, while innovative, leads to mechanical headaches that many owners still face today, particularly with maintenance issues. And don't even get me started on the reliability of that engine. Aging wiring harnesses? Check. Common rust spots? Check. It's like a game of how many problems can you find with this engine. For me, if you're considering this car, the engine is an absolute deal breaker. You want a car that roars, not wheezes. I'd rather take my chances with something else that can actually deliver the kind of performance and excitement a classic should. Save your money and your sanity. This engine is a disaster waiting to happen. Now, let's dive into the heart of the beast, the transmission and rear axle of the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado. This car introduced the Turbo Hydromatic 400, commonly known as the THM 400, which is without a doubt the best automatic transmission ever built. You heard me right. This isn't just fanboy talk. It's a fact. The THM 400 is a robust unit that has stood the test of time, outperforming rivals like the Ford C6 and those pathetic flimsy THM 200 transmissions that can barely handle the power of a lawnmower. Cadillac knew what they were doing here, and they delivered a transmission that could take the weight of this big iron and still deliver a smooth ride. Now let's not kid ourselves. The Eldorado is a heavyweight champion in the luxury class, tipping the scales with that front-wheel drive setup. This was a groundbreaking move back in 1967, making it the first front-wheel drive vehicle from Cadillac. I can hear the purists gasping, but the engineering behind it is fascinating. The front-wheel drive system allowed for a more spacious interior by eliminating that spineless hump that typically eats up legroom. However, it's not all sunshine and roses. With innovation comes complexity, and the maintenance challenges of that front-wheel drive layout can be quite daunting. So, what about the rear axle? Well, there's no rear axle to speak of in the traditional sense since the power is sent directly to the front wheels. Instead, we've got a final drive ratio of approximately 3.21 to 1. This means that while you might expect some spirited acceleration, the reality is a little underwhelming. The Eldorado can reach 60 miles per hour in about 8.5 seconds. Sure, it's respectable for a car of this size, but let's face it, it's not exactly setting the world on fire. We're talking about a luxury vehicle here, and with that heavy front-end weight, you'd expect it to have a little more get up and go. And don't forget about the quirks that come with this innovative setup. The complexity of the front-wheel drive system can lead to a laundry list of potential issues, from electrical failures due to aging wiring harnesses to rust in all the wrong places. So, if you're thinking of bringing one of these beauties into your life, keep in mind that while the THM 400 is a marvel of engineering, the rest of the car can be a bit of a mixed bag. It's all part of that brutal charm that draws collectors in today. However, if you're not ready for the commitment of maintenance, you might want to reconsider. This isn't just a car, it's a relationship fraught with challenges. What about the suspension, brakes, and handling feel, you ask? Well, it's just as disappointing as the rest of it. The Cadillac Eldorado was marketed as a luxury cruiser, but folks, this thing is more of a floating barge than a precision machine. Let's start with the suspension, shall we? The Cadillac Eldorado features a front suspension system that was a combination of control arms and coil springs, which, if we're being brutally honest, does little to inspire confidence on the road. Sure, it was designed for a smooth ride, but that floaty feeling can easily turn into a nightmare when you hit a bump. You want to feel connected to the road, but instead you feel like you're piloting a boat on a calm lake. It's a shame because back in the day, luxury cars used to handle much, much better. Now let's chat about the brakes. My biggest issue has always been the brakes. The Eldorado is equipped with power-assisted drum brakes at the rear and disc brakes at the front. Sounds decent, right? Wrong. The combination lacks the bite you'd expect from a luxury car. When you're barreling down the highway and need to hit the brakes, you might find yourself praying the car stops before you hit something. Talk about a heart-stopping experience. This is the kind of engineering that makes you question if they took the luxury part seriously. The brakes feel mushy and disconnected, which is not what you want in a car that weighs more than a small elephant. Handling? Well, if you think you're getting agile maneuverability, think again. The Eldorado's front-wheel drive layout was groundbreaking at the time, but it comes with trade-offs. The car tends to understeer like it's on a mission to remind you that it's not meant for sharp turns. You might as well be driving a freight train when it comes to cornering. And don't even get me started on the body roll. It's like a bad dance move at a wedding. Awkward and way too exaggerated. So what's the verdict here? If you're looking for a classic car that delivers a thrilling driving experience, you'd be better off looking elsewhere. The suspension and brakes are just another reminder of how far we've fallen since the days of high-compression V8s and solid engineering. For me, a car that doesn't inspire confidence on the road is a car I wouldn't want to own. If you're set on getting a Cadillac Eldorado, just know that you might be in for a bumpy ride, literally. When it comes to reliability, the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado is a mixed bag, to put it mildly. Sure, it's a stunning piece of American automotive history, but don't be fooled. It's not without its fair share of issues. The common rust spots are almost a rite of passage for these cars. Check the trunk areas, lower fenders, and around the wheel wells. If they're not rusting out, consider yourself lucky. But that's just the beginning. The aging wiring harnesses can lead to all sorts of intermittent electrical issues that can turn your classic car dream into a living nightmare. We're talking about the frustration of dashboard lights flickering like a disco ball and headlights that refuse to cooperate. Now, let's not forget about the front-wheel drive setup. It was groundbreaking at the time and a real game-changer for Cadillac, but it introduced a level of complexity that many modern mechanics might shy away from. If you're not prepared to get your hands dirty or shell out big bucks for a skilled technician, you might want to think twice before diving into ownership. So, what's the verdict? The 1967 Cadillac Eldorado is undeniably a beautiful car with a unique design and a certain brutal charm that draws people in. However, it's not just a question of aesthetics. You have to consider the reliability issues and maintenance challenges that come with it. If you're a collector who appreciates the history and character of the Big Iron era, this car can be a crown jewel in your collection. But remember, it's only original once, and if you find a well-preserved example without too many of those dreaded rust spots, grab it. The market for these classics is heating up, with auction prices for restored models reaching between $30,000 and $50,000. Prices are absurdly high for low-mileage examples, and for good reason. These cars are becoming rarer by the day. You'll want to do your homework and ensure you're not overpaying for a rust bucket that'll drain your wallet faster than you can say pathetic horsepower. So, would I buy a 1967 Cadillac Eldorado? If I found one in great condition, I'd consider it, but I'd be ready for the quirks and challenges that come with it. Just remember, owning a classic car isn't just about the joy of driving. It's about embracing the entire experience, the good and the bad. Now, is it too yellow for you? If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give it a like. Leave your comments and impressions. Your opinion is very important to me. Until next time.